Hello, my name is Todd Silvius, and thanks for downloading this professional development video tutorial on the Compass Learning Odyssey platform. This tutorial today is going to go over the setup menu and the student index, particularly searching the student index for existing student accounts, adding an existing student account from the index to your class or classes, and then also removing a student from your class after you've put them in there. So without further delay, let's get started. Over here on my teacher account, you can see that I'm currently logged in and I have two classes set up. And again, the classes video tutorial explained that these classes are simply containers or folders into which I will group my student accounts I want to monitor. So, in anticipation of the school year, I've created a class called Remediation Algebra 1, Remediation Geometry, for students who are going to be in my math classes that if they need extra remediation on these subjects, I can drop their accounts in here and assign them curriculum. When I click inside of the class, you can see I'm inside the class because it's blue over here. I'm in Algebra 1 right now. It's also confirmed up here at the top of the screen. I'm looking to my Remediation Algebra 1. I want to add students to this account or to this class so that I can observe their progress. And to do that, I simply click on the Add Student. Now, these are students that I suspect are still in the system that perhaps a teacher has created before I did. Maybe I know that there is another math teacher in my department who has created an account for a student. Instead of creating a second account for the kid to keep track of, I'm going to use that same account and then look in the student index and bring it over into my class. So I've already typed in Silvius here, so let's search for a Silvius character. Here he is. Okay, that's the account that my department mate has told me about that was created for this particular student. So I select that student and I simply add selected student to my class. It bounces me back over to my Algebra 1 class, and you can see the student was added. It's listed in the ranks there. If I go up to the home directory here where it says Silvius Todd, and I look across the way from my Algebra 1 course, you can see the student enrollment number on the outside says there's one kid in there. That's great. That's the one I just added. Let's repeat this process and see if we can trick the system up again. I'm going to simply add student, even though I've added that Silvius, and search for Silvius again. No students were found matching the search criteria. In other words, Compass realizes that I've already added a student named Silvius to this Silvius account to this Algebra 1 course. It's not going to redisplay it and allow me to add the kid a second time. So I'm done adding the Silvius account to this class. Now, if I'm over here, how do I get back to my classes? Well, a couple different ways. You can go home and navigate back, or you can go to my classes over here, or you can go to the setup and my classes over there. Either way will get you the same place. I'm just going to use this brown tab here and toggle back over. Okay, let's bounce over to geometry now. And I'm going to add a student. And that Silvius guy has taken lots of math this year, so I'm going to search for him again in the student index, but this time to put him in my geometry remediation class. And although we just searched for Silvius a second time and it came up with no results, we were doing that search to put this Silvius account in the Algebra 1 course. The system said he's already in there, you don't need to add him a second time. When we went to my geometry course and we did the same search, it says, well, I guess you can add this Silvius account holder to the geometry class. No problem with that. So we're going to add this student in that class as well. So Todd Silvius SS 2010 T Silvius is now added to my Geo class and to my Algebra 1 class. If I go to the Silvius level at the top, you can see the student enrollments in each course are listed on the outside right there. To remove these student accounts, simply go into the class, click on the name of the student, and hit remove. you're going to get a series of pop-ups. The first one is very innocent. It's the normal "Are you sure?" confirm screen. It's the second one we have to watch out for. So, are you sure you want to remove the selected students from this class? Yes. Hit OK. Watch the second one. If I've given this student an assignment, in other words, if I've given this student Algebra 1 remediation curriculum, when I move him out of my class, the system gives me two choices. If I click OK, that OK is not only going to move the kid out of my class, it's also going to remove the remediation Algebra 1 curriculum that I gave him from his account. However, I also have the choice of clicking Cancel. Cancel will also remove the kid from my class, but it will allow that student account to carry the Algebra 1 remediation curriculum I've given him as he works on it. But as I'm cleaning up my student accounts, that Algebra 1 curriculum can stay with that student, even though I'm removing him from my class. So that's what the difference here with the click OK to unassign the student, click Cancel to keep the assignments with the student. This second, "Are you sure?" is a very deadly one because you don't inadvertently want to delete assignments from student accounts. So when all else fails, err on the side of caution if you're not sure what to do, and just keep the assignments with the kid. You can also unassign them at a later date and hit Cancel. So not only will that remove the student from this class, but hitting Cancel allows that student to keep the Algebra 1 curriculum for him, and however he wants to work on it at another time. I don't know. Now he's out of my class and I'm not watching him anymore. He can still have practice with it. Same thing here. I remove this student from my remediation geo class. The first "Are you sure?" is the innocent one. The second one could be the deadly one. So you want to read these very carefully and just not out of habit click OK. Click OK to unassign the student, in other words, to remove the geometry remediation curriculum from him, or click Cancel to keep the assignments with the student. So again, I'm just going to keep it with them, err on the side of caution. I can always clean up the student account later on. And that's how you remove students from your classes after you drop them in. So what we did today in this tutorial was we searched the student index, and we looked for students that maybe somebody else has already created their account first. You don't want to have kids tracking multiple accounts for the same system. It'll just drive them crazy, as it would anybody else. Add an existing student account to your class once you've found them in the index. So you can take a student account that another teacher has already given assignments to, bring that student account into your classes, and you give that student assignments as well. And then we also talked about the two "Are you sure?" screens that come up for removing a student for your class. The first one's the innocent one. The second one has a little more power to it, and you want to be careful when you select that. And if all else fails, err on the side of caution and hit Cancel if you're confused. You can always remove the assignments later on. So that's the tutorial on the setup menu and the student index. I hope you found it helpful, and thanks for watching.